For years, I've been a huge fan of the Ultra Boost, and that's mainly because the Ultra Boost, at least to me, has been one of the most comfortable shoes I've ever worn. But even though when the Ultra Boost was first released back in 2015, the shoe was undisputably the most comfortable sneaker on the market, over the last 8 years, other brands have caught up. But over those last 8 years, Adidas continued to make changes to the Ultra Boost to make it a better sneaker. And now in 2023, we have the latest iteration of the shoe, the Adidas ULTRA BOOST Light. So as a huge fan of the Ultra Boost, when I first saw this shoe, 2 questions came to mind. 1, is this shoe as comfortable as some of its competitors? And 2, is this the most comfortable Ultra Boost ever? And so in today's video, we're gonna find out. So first off, I should say, while I have run in this shoe multiple times and I think it's a decent running sneaker, this is not a running specific review. This is going to be more of a lifestyle comfort review. As someone who runs but doesn't run very well or very often, I don't think it's fair for me to give an all-around performance review of the sneaker. So what I'm going to do instead is give you guys my overall comfort opinions on this sneaker, which I think for a majority of people, at least who watch my channel, that's probably what they're looking for. With that being said, there are a ton of great reviews out there that focus specifically on the running attributes of the Ultra Boost 23, so if you're more interested in that, make sure to check out some of those videos. But with all of that out of the way, if you're looking to grab a pair of the Adidas ULTRA BOOST Lights, they're available right now for a retail price of $190, which in my opinion, and I think a lot of other people's opinions, is a lot to be paying for a pair of Ultra Boosts. Up until recently, the Ultra Boost only cost $180, and it almost seems like a foregone conclusion that future Ultra Boosts will probably cost $200 or more, which in my opinion is too much to be paying for this shoe. Not to say it's a bad shoe, but that's a lot for a running sneaker. However, if you would like to grab a pair of the Adidas ULTRA BOOST Lights, I've made sure to leave a link to this shoe through the YouTube shopping tab on this video. You can literally click the screen or through affiliate links in the description below. That being said, the Adidas ULTRA BOOST Light, while it looks very similar to previous Ultra Boosts like the Ultra Boost 22, the Ultra Boost 20s, and of course the Ultra Boost 19s, there are some pretty large improvements and changes that have gone into this shoe to make it a better shoe overall. And I'm sure by this point you probably know exactly what the main change is, but it's the brand new Ultra Boost Light, which is used in the midsole of the sneaker. In fact, this marks the first time that Boost cushioning has ever experienced any sort of major change. Boost has been pretty much the same since 2015 and beyond. But before we get into the Boost cushioning, let's first take a look at the upper of the shoe and some of the minor changes that have taken place up there. So like I said, the design of this shoe is pretty similar to previous Ultra Boosts. However, even though the shoe looks similar, it is slightly different, at least in terms of materials. The upper used on the Ultra Boost Light is now primeknit plus, which apparently is a new version of primeknit. Not only is this upper apparently 100% recycled, because 50% of it is made up of Parley Ocean plastics and the other 50% is made up of recycled polyester, so 50 and 50 add up to 100%. So apparently it's 100% recycled. However, they don't overtly say that it's 100% recycled, so it's possible that some of those percentages could overlap, which I feel like is a little misleading. Either way, a lot of the upper of this shoe is recycled, which is a good thing. And according to Adidas, the upper of the shoe is designed to have different zones, similar to what Nike does in some of their running sneakers, which of course means that certain areas of the shoe have ventilation holes, other areas are stretchier than others. But I will say, while the shoe definitely contains my foot better than a standard Ultra Boost 1.0, which to be fair is an Ultra Boost from 8 years ago, it's not as breathable. And I guess for running, the trade-offs are worth it. You get more stability, you get more lockdown, it's a slightly better fit. However, I do really miss the feeling of like air kind of whooshing through my feet whenever I'm running. It's not something that I noticed in the original Ultra Boost, but when I wore these two shoes side by side, the difference was night and day. That being said, the shoe is still relatively breathable, not as breathable as original Ultra Boost, but more breathable than most other shoes on the market. And the knit itself is pretty soft. It's thinner and it feels a little bit stiffer than previous Ultra Boosts, but it's not that bad, and in my opinion, it's still better than Flyknit in terms of softness. Now, as you can see, the design of the primeknit on the upper is pretty simple and pretty similar to previous Ultra Boosts. You've got one contrasting color line running through the center of the toe. Different parts of the toe have different textures based on the way that they're supposed to work. Like you've got these ventilation holes in the center of the toe, and then around the edge of the toe, it's a lot stiffer and a lot smoother. And I know this has been a complaint for the last probably 4 or 5 years with the Ultra Boost, but the design of this shoe is just not as exciting or as lifestyle friendly as it used to be with the older Ultra Boost DNAs. Ever since Adidas released the Ultra Boost 19 back in, I think, the end of 2018, the shoe just hasn't had the same sort of lifestyle appeal that it used to have. I think the fact that Adidas really decided to go full force on that performance running aesthetic really turned some people off.
Stop doing full force!
And while yes, the Ultra Boost was originally designed to be the best running sneaker ever, it really took on a life of its own when Kanye West threw them on feet and they became a hypebeast icon. That was obviously not Adidas's original intent with the Ultra Boost, but it definitely helped sales. And even though they have the Ultra Boost DNA line, which is kind of just their retros of the original Ultra Boost, it just isn't the same. Continuing back in the shoe, you get to the classic Ultra Boost cage, a detail which Adidas decided to re-add to the shoe or keep on the shoe because apparently it hold some Ultra Boost DNA in it, at least that's what one of the designers said. And while yes, it does give the shoe its more iconic look, at the same time, I think runners would prefer to have something that is more comfortable and works better overall, and lifestyle wearers are probably not going to buy this shoe. So in my opinion, being precious about the aesthetic DNA of the shoe is not something that's necessary. I feel like the designers could have changed things up and it wouldn't really have affected things. That being said, this midfoot cage definitely lets you know that this shoe is an Ultra Boost and definitely an Adidas sneaker, so I guess it makes sense in terms of branding and marketing. That being said, the midfoot cage isn't uncomfortable. I think the Ultra Boost 19, or was it the 20s midfoot cage, was very weirdly uncomfortable because of the way that it sat on your foot. It seems like they've resolved those issues with this shoe, or probably even with some of the earlier models of this shoe, and right now it's fine. It does a decent job of locking your foot into place. I don't think it does as good of a job as something like Flywire, which is Nike's sort of proprietary technology where they have wires weaving through the upper of the knit that actually pull the entire knit towards your foot. This just kind of pulls this sort of rubberized plastic material towards your foot, and it works. It's fine. But I don't know, it just seems a little old school. Now with that being said, I personally prefer the way that Adidas running sneakers, at least in terms of the upper of the shoe, look compared to Nike sneakers. I think it's sort of a nice mashup of classic past design with this midfoot cage and sort of futuristic knits. But at the same time, I think if you're gonna go full performance running, go full performance running. Don't sort of try and find a nice middle ground. Just go all the way in one direction. Again, this is not a running review. This is just a dude talking about a sneaker and the way it looks, and also the way it feels. So take it all with a grain of salt. And if there's any Adidas designers watching this, you guys are awesome. I'm not trying to throw any shade. You guys are the best. I couldn't do it, so there you go. Obviously, because this shoe is a knit sneaker, it's just like all the other knit sneakers out there. It features a sock-like booty construction. You've got no separate tongue. It's just kind of this thin knit tongue, which is pretty stretchy. And of course, you've got the Adidas 3 stripes logo on the top in this neon green, at least in this colorway. And then moving into the sneaker, you get to one of the largest changes on the upper of the shoe, and probably one of my favorite changes, and that's this insanely soft ankle cushion right here. It's crazy. They've never done that before. It's usually just this pretty flat heel area that I guess does have some padding, but it's never that comfortable. At least you don't really think about the comfort of it. In this case, these ankle or heel pillows really do give you a much more soft and cushioned feel around your heel, at least when you first put the shoe on. After a while, you stop noticing them, but it does feel really great when you first throw the shoe on. I love it. I think it's a great addition. I'm not sure why they never did this before, but I'm glad they added it. It also helps with lockdown a little bit. If the shoe is like slightly too big for you, which of course, try and buy a shoe in your size, but if the shoe is slightly too big, it does kind of help prevent heel slip, which is a nice thing. You've got a pretty standard Adidas insole. It comes in black with the end plastic waist printed on the heel in neon green. But now we get into sizing and fit. And the good news is, over the last couple years, it seems like Adidas has resolved their sizing issue, at least in terms of the Ultra Boost. And in my opinion, this shoe does fit true to size. I remember back in like 2016, there was all these discussions all over Reddit and all over the internet, what size Ultra Boost to buy. I always went true to size. It was never an issue for me, but for some people, they went down a half size or up a half size. It really depended on your foot shape. I think because the Ultra Boost was a slightly more narrow sneaker, but it seems like nowadays they've got it figured out. Unfortunately, that's not the case across every Adidas sneaker, but at least for the Ultra Boost, in my opinion, they've got it figured out. So if you've never worn a pair of Ultra Boosts before, I would suggest going true to size. If you're in doubt, go true to size. Good news is, if you grab them from a store, you can try them on, or if you buy them online, you can always return them or exchange them. Then continuing back in the sneaker, you get to an absolutely legacy-inspired Ultra Boost heel counter. It looks like a slightly squished Ultra Boost 1.0's heel counter, except this time around it actually wraps all the way around the back of the shoe, which does provide a little bit more heel lockdown, which I like. And overall, it works well. It looks decent. You've got the Ultra Boost branding on the lateral side. But yeah, no complaints there. It's a nice looking heel counter. It's a welcome change, and yeah, that's all I got. Then moving down on the shoe, we get to the largest change between this Ultra Boost and any of the previous Ultra Boosts, and that's this super thick Boost Light midsole. Now, the overall shape of this midsole seems very similar to the Ultra Boost 22s. It doesn't look that different. It's about the same thickness, at least from what I can tell, which is incredibly thick. But the biggest change between this midsole and the previous midsole is actually the material itself. So Boost Light is apparently 30% lighter than previous Boost. Not only that, it's also apparently 4% more responsive. That's such a tiny percent. I don't know how they measured that, but apparently it's 4% more responsive. Visually, it's a little bit different too. It doesn't have the same sort of Ultra Boost bead aesthetic that you usually get on Ultra Boost sneakers. It's still sort of there. You can still lightly see the Ultra Boost beads or pellets, but instead you've got this more defined sort of grid pattern running around the outside of the shoe, which I'm assuming is defined by the mold that they used to create this midsole. Not 100% sure, but that's what I'm thinking. Those are probably parting lines. Could be wrong, but that's my guess. And it's just an overall slightly smoother, slightly less defined midsole. It's not as Boost looking as previous Boost, which I guess makes sense because it is technically a different material. All those visual changes aside, it is significantly lighter than previous Boost. 30% lighter. I mean, it's actually noticeable in hand. But underfoot, is Boost Light more comfortable than Boost? In my opinion, kinda. The Ultra Boost has always been a max cushion sneaker. It's always felt incredibly soft underfoot, but the difference between Ultra Boost Light and the standard Ultra Boost, or I guess standard Boost, is not that noticeable. I feel like I notice a difference. It might all be mental, but I feel like there is a difference there. It feels slightly softer, it feels slightly bouncier, but I'm not sure if that's just in my head or if that's the reality. I guess when you pair the changes in the upper of the shoe to this new midsole, you could make the argument that this shoe is more comfortable than the Ultra Boost 22, and I would probably make that argument. I think it's more comfortable than the previous year's version, but I'm not 100% sure. But in my opinion, it's still not the softest shoe out there. I still think that's the Nike Zoom X Invincible Run 3. I just don't see any shoe beating that for a while. Zoom X is just so soft underfoot, and maybe some people don't like that and will prefer this because it's a slightly firmer ride. It's still a max cushion shoe, but it's definitely a firmer ride than the Zoom X. But is it more comfortable than previous Boost? I guess. That's my answer, I guess. You have to try it for yourself. Either way, it's still an incredibly comfortable sneaker. If you like the way the Boost feels on foot, you're gonna love Ultra Boost Light. It's a great sneaker, definitely to try out if you're a Boost fan. And then finally we get to the bottom of the sneaker, which features a redesigned Continental outsole. Apparently this Continental rubber is more durable than previous Continental rubber variations or versions. And of course this shoe still features the Adidas LEP system, which is one of their bigger improvements on the Ultra Boost. I think 22 over the Ultra Boost 21. It helps you sort of bounce into the next step. It's definitely a nice touch. So I guess to answer the question, is the Ultra Boost Light the most comfortable Ultra Boost ever? In a lot of ways it is. I think the Boost underfoot is definitely softer than any other Boost we've ever experienced. Is the upper of the shoe as comfortable as an Ultra Boost 1.0? In my opinion, not as much. I like some of the changes that were made, like the heel pillows, but overall, I'd say that I'd still prefer the upper of an Ultra Boost 1.0 or a DNA over the newer Ultra Boost Light or Ultra Boost 22. But again, the Boost is really what makes the shoe. The Boost underfoot is incredibly soft. Is Boost Light that much more soft than regular Boost? I don't know. Not really. It's lighter, which is good, so I guess that makes it more comfortable because you have to put in less effort to lift it off the ground. And if I had to give you a definitive answer, I would say yes, the Ultra Boost Light is the most comfortable Ultra Boost ever. Not by much, but in my opinion, it is. Now, is it the most comfortable max cushion sneaker? No, but it's still a great sneaker. If you like Ultra Boost, if you like Adidas, I definitely recommend this shoe. But at this point, I would love to know your thoughts on the Ultra Boost Light and whether this is a shoe that you're thinking about picking up. So make sure to let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't yet, and I'll see you all in the next one.